As I have been introduced, I'm known as TIO LOUIE. My real name is Luis Perego Moreno, but I'm known as TIO LOUIE because what I'm most known for doing is, I'm from New York City. I was born in the South Bronx. I am Latino. I'm Cuban-Argentine. Mother's Cuban, father's Argentine, but I was raised within the Puerto Rican community in New York City. And I'm a filmmaker and educator, but what I'm most known for doing is training Latino and Black youth in New York City and in Newark, New Jersey, how to make documentary shorts on social, public, and mental health issues. So we did, over the course of nearly 10 years, 70 documentary shorts. And in continuing after that, I felt after 70 documentary shorts, it was time to make a documentary feature. So what you're seeing here is a first foray into that whole arena. This is a work in progress. It is a 55-minute documentary feature. I am Latino, I'm not a woman, but I am a feminist. So I am completely devoted to women's issues and especially to Latina issues. So I wanted to make this documentary, but it's also an extension of me in regard to the question, that frames this whole documentary is, what does it mean to be a Latina in the United States? And which is my story. I was born here, but, for the longest time, what am I? I'm Latino, but I'm not Latino. I'm from the United States, and I'm not from the United States. So it was for the longest time, where do I belong? And not feeling that I fit in anywhere. And it's been a journey of like 20, 30 years to feel comfortable in my skin in regard to culture is one thing, I'm Latino, but the other thing is identity, is, who am I, where am I from, and where do I belong? And because of that, I felt the need and the push to do this documentary, which for most of us as documentary makers, it's usually a therapy. This is why we do it, is we try to explore something within ourselves. So this was my journey, and also hoping to help other Latinos who are like me, who either have emigrated to this country and now make this country their home forever, or are of Latino extraction and born here. And it's, again, where do we belong? So the first half is that primordial question of, what does it mean to be Latino in the United States? The second half is another subject that has interested me, is the Madonna whore complex and its impact upon women in my culture, where in my Latino culture, women are expected to be virgins until they marry. But meanwhile, they're supposed to be sexy, they're supposed to know how to move their body, how to wear tight clothing and stuff like that, and all of a sudden on their wedding night, they're supposed to know exactly what to do. So there's a dichotomy of sorts there, because she's supposed to be a virgin, however, so that was the second question I asked the women that I interviewed, which was, how did the Madonna whore complex impact you and your development as a woman? So it's a work in progress. I started off by interviewing women where I'm from, New York City, and then, but New York City, Latinas are not representative of the country, as we well know by many who live out here in the Midwest. So then I went to LA and interviewed women in LA, and actually in Huntington Beach, where there was a convention, a Latino convention, and interviewed women from throughout the country. So interviewed women from throughout California, San Antonio, El Paso, and New Mexico. So then put this 55-minute project together as a rough cut edit, and then afterwards went to Miami, because couldn't do something and not include our Miami sisters. So went and interviewed, 31 women there. So what you're going to see is mostly talking heads, but it was basically to start the dialogue, to start this whole exploration, and to see how it would look and feel. And this is a work in progress. It's going to continue. We're actually talking about developing this as a television series where we could actually go throughout the country interviewing women from different regions, like, Latinas in Chicago, Latinas in Albuquerque, Latinas in San Francisco, to travel throughout the United States and get different perspectives. So again, I leave this in your hands. This is Latina Confessions, and thank you for inviting me.